Welcome back to episode 12 of Get to Know Your Mod Author. And this week we've got somebody who did one of the best male followers for Skyrim and then one of the second best male followers for Skyrim. I'll let you decide which one's which because you have Marfin and Professor Benjamin Dune from SkinnyTecBoy. Say hello.
Hello.
And I am just going to repeatedly call him Paul throughout here, so I don't give a shit. You're going to know his first name probably because I'm going to fuck it up no matter what, even if I try not to. The I've known Paul for fuck how long, Paul? Do you even remember?
It was about 2014, I think.
Okay, so way longer than most people will care to be my friend. Um, so actually, because I was actually pulled up your page, so I wasn't sure. Joined November 2010. When did you actually start modding in any capacity?
Okay. Well, can I talk about when I started using mods as well? Or
Yeah. That
okay.
tends to influence us, I would assume.
Okay. So my introduction to Elder Scrolls modding was actually Morrowind. I don't know if you remember that index keys mod. Do you remember that?
I
Which
did
would
not.
teleport
The
you.
only thing I did in Morrowind would was my own stuff. I was in college at that point, and I really didn't know about the whole modding scene. So I only actually did because Morrowind shipped with the creation kit inside of it, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I
So
think so. I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
I got into it later, but
it was on the CD, I'm pretty sure, and I fucked around with that a bit.
I didn't make anything, but the first sort of mod I used was Morrowind, and I had that the index, I think it was called, and it was a really nice little mod that would allow you to teleport to the temples located around the land, which was really handy. And then I got Oblivion in 2006 when it came out, and my computer just couldn't run it. The computer I had at the time, so I put that away, and that gathered dust for about 2 years till about 2008 when I could finally run it and I installed it. And then I started getting into mods. Ashamedly, Sluty mods, because that's the first thing you go for when you start using mods, to try and make things look nice. At that time, I didn't really understand, gameplay mechanics and how to improve that. And then when Skyrim came out, again, my computer couldn't really handle it, so I just played it for about 2 years, and then it's around about 2012, Christmas 2012, when I finally decided to follow the tutorials to make a quest. Do you know the one about the character called Ben?
Is that the one that's on the wiki page?
On the wiki
Yeah,
page, you've
that's
got to
that's
make a
actually the
character.
one that I started with too, and kind of
Yeah,
yeah.
everyone starts there. Everyone starts there, and you basically got the character called Ben, and you've got to
It's an
retrieve something for
it's
him.
an amulet. Yeah, it's an amulet you get from
That's it.
somewhere, and then you give it to him, and they did it in such the worst ways. I remember that. Sorry, I'm on a tangent. The
Yeah, yeah.
they actually did it like way more complicated than it needed to be in the wiki.
Well, I started with that, but then I'm quite a creative person. I write music and things like that, and so I started looking at that quest, and then I started to put my own spin on it. And my original story was, and this is how Benjamin Doom was invented, that Professor Benjamin Doom, and you had to help him retrieve his lucky pants because he had a hot date that night. So the idea was that you would go to the castle, wherever it was, to beat the baddie, retrieve Ben's lucky pants, and then when Ben puts the lucky pants on, a flame atronach appears and starts attacking him, and that was his hot date. And that was my original spin on that whole quest. And then that actually started to develop into Carry On Skyrim. Um, and do you want me to talk more about Carry On Skyrim?
Well, I forgot this the last interview, and they called me on it, so I've got to ask will Hitler show up at any point in Carry On Skyrim?
He can, but uh, probably not. Although I'm not sure. The last chapter is going to be the weirdest. Um, so anything can happen there because it's going to be set in a different dimension. I'm probably giving away too much here. I've come
No,
up with
like I tell
the
everybody, nobody
idea.
watches this shit. You're fine.
Ah, brilliant. Okay. So the reason why I keep pushing out follower mods is because I got to a point in the story. So I actually got quite far, but I got to a point in the story where my capabilities were limited. As you know, you've worked with me. You know that when it comes to some scripting elements and building worlds and dungeons, I'm not the best sandwich there.
What are
And
you talking about? Spatula. Oh, so we did forget to
spatula.
mention, by the way, guys. Anybody who's played Molag Ball's Inferno and didn't laugh their ass off in Lust, he's responsible for. But you're
Yes, I
responsible
am.
for your own lack of sense of humor and fucking awesomeness, because that was one of the best dungeons.
Well, let's talk about that a second. So, Darren invited me into the group chat. When was it? So it was June last year.
June, July,
Was it June,
August. No, it had to be like July.
July? And when I sort of tipped up into this chat, and there was Eleonora, Big Biscuit, Dionysus, yourself, Matty Wag, Sim Sim, all these people that were so much more advanced than I was, and Darren you already had the idea that I would create a level, and I was like, oh my god, I'm not up to this. So at first I went in and said, well, I can do some writing for you, or I can make some music, and the challenge of actually making a level was just beyond me at that time. But after a while, I don't know, something got said, and I had a spark of an idea, and I realized, right, if I can't do the dynamics of like big boss fights and that kind of stuff, what are my strengths? And my strengths are stupid humor. So I decided to approach Lust from a very silly sense of humor. So it's just puerile titillation. It's British humor, and that was my weapon that I
And
used to cover up the fact that I can't do amazing boss fights
and
and
by the way,
amazing
everybody, when he
dungeons.
says that he really doesn't know a lot about the programming stuff inside of things, he let's just say that some stupid 12-year-old taught him how to do states, and then that devolved into me trying to bug fix the shit out of it, and
Oh
then
my god,
giving
yeah,
up and
yeah.
sending it back to him. I
It
remember that
still
shit.
gets bug reports now, doesn't
No, no,
it?
no. I think you're actually clear. I think it's just. I think it's literally just greed and Dio's heresy. I think it's just the crashes. The
Well,
from
people still get strangers attacking
do
them
they really? I didn't. I
regularly.
haven't
Yeah,
actually looked at the bug reports. I thought we
I
fixed
don't,
that
I
shit.
don't think I disabled them. That's the problem,
Well, I
and it's
disabled the door. They shouldn't be able. In case people don't know, his he has a whole bunch of like subjugated women, strange man, a bunch of different things in his lust dungeon. And we were finding out when you fast traveled, you'd end up with like a harem of people following you.
yeah, and people were complaining about, oh, this stranger keeps attacking me, and we were laughing our asses off, weren't we? Because I was just like, well, good. Bit of spice in your life, you turn up to Whiterun, and this stranger comes out and says hello.
Our she
And
loves a good book, and she's just
yeah,
shocking you the whole time.
that was my little effort for feminism there. I thought I'd
Oh my
name
god!
all the
Oh,
women.
the amount of rage at the start. Remember your doors where you would walk into the hallway and the doors would close for like a minute before people were like COCing out of there because you got a minute in game terms of being stuck in a hallway is like 6 years for some people. It's so great.
As I said, I didn't have the skill for boss mechanics, so I used any trick I could think of
I love the
to annoy,
falling down the
annoy
hole.
people.
People would look around and just like quit. Like they'd fucking reload their game.
I put a note down
I
there.
know. I was watching Let's Plays and people were just like cussing at whoever made the dungeon, not even looking at the note.
Yeah, but the note would teleport you
I
out to the
know.
right place. So
They never
they were
looked at
silly.
it.
They were silly.
People don't pay attention to shit. Like the amount of people I saw running in the same circle like 10 times in Lust was great. Like they and some weird accident put the map. I don't know why the map for that dungeon is all the way off. Like you can't actually see the map. You can see
Right.
like the edge of it. I don't know how the hell that happened, but I didn't decide. I decided not to even try to fix it because it made it even funnier. They couldn't actually use the map to get through the maze.
Yeah, I mean the idea of it of it is that it's the gauntlet. So it's you've got a time limit to try and do it, and if you don't do it, you're sent back to the beginning and everything resets. That was the idea. So I wanted people to be confused. I wanted people to get annoyed because, as I said, I didn't have anything else to give them. And also, I left lots of little secret scenes all around the
That like
dungeon. So if you
most
do the
people
whole
didn't
thing,
watch. Like that drove me nuts. And I think I saw like one or two Let's Plays where they actually like walked up to the curtains and stayed there and listened to the shit. Like I made sure to go to
there's a guy
every
having
one of
sex
them.
with a goat and that kind of stuff.
I think the
There's all
horse is one
kinds
of
of
the
things.
best. Here, horsey, horsey, horse.
Yeah, just weird. I mean, not that I'm into that kind of thing. I was just trying to make it naughty, but without being naughty. Suggestive.
Oh, it was fucking
Um,
great. And what's your
and
face doing the voiceovers
Robber
was
Fox, yeah,
perfect.
she was brilliant, and she really went for it. She just humoured me, and just the scenes between her and I are just they're my favourite ones, I think. Um, that and the guy with the sheep.
The
The goat.
reactions to that one from the people who hate it, namely our good friend Wheeze, was probably the
Oh,
most priceless parts about that shit. Like the people who absolutely hated that dungeon were the best. I
I
was
ha I
like,
have I have to thank Wheeze though. I have to thank him because if it wasn't for his pure hate of neon, of glowing neon, I wouldn't have pushed myself to become the neon master for Marvin. So I went neon crazy, as you know, because I, I basically created a whole level that was pretty much full on neon. But that was inspired by his disapproval of my neon lighting. A couple of little neon lights in my dungeon, and it caused so much hate, didn't it? This isn't more friendly. You know.
it was fucking great. Like, I don't know if you know one of the most recent comments on the mod was somebody going 9 circles of hell, Dante's Inferno question mark, and I'm like, you're a quick one. It says on the front page.
I haven't checked the page for so
uh,
long. I
it's
still
kind
get the
of
bug reports. That's about it.
I just click them, look at them, realize that 99% of them are for Dio and Big, and just move along. I'm like, screw this. I'm not dealing with their. I never. I think no. I think I had one crash. I had one crash in their dungeons. Like, and I tested that thing like 50, 60 times. So
Hmm.
I don't understand what people's setups are, but I don't give a shit. It's still one of the greatest mods out there for Skyrim.
It was an amazing endeavor, but I have to say the one negative aspect of it for me was Reddit.
Oh, all the shit afterwards or whatever.
Yeah, it felt really deflating when it got to the actual judging and people going, well, your man's got loads of people. It's not fair, so I'm going to vote for a broom cupboard um, with 45-degree angles and all that. That it just felt like, well, hang on, it doesn't matter whether it's 10 of us working on it. We've given you something. We've worked for hours to do it, and we've
Jesus,
given you
there
something for
there was
nothing.
thousands
Here
of
it
hours that
is.
went into that from
Yeah.
us.
Oh God, yeah. I think God. Well, we worked on it from July and it was released in September. So that's like 6 weeks,
Yeah, I
five or
think it was. I
six
think it was. I
weeks.
think we had 5.5 weeks. I think is what they ended up putting the
Yeah,
deadline to, and then I ended up working on it for another week just to get all the bugs out.
yeah. But I mean, the incentive was Reddit, but like the feedback from Reddit was,
Well,
you know,
it's like I was pointing out to somebody. I can't even remember. I was talking to somebody about the whole MBI thing and the voting, and I said, and the worst part was the people who were actually actively voting against us because there was what 5 entries,
yeah,
and ours wasn't in the top three on like half the votes, which made it hilarious because you could tell they were voting against the mod instead of
exactly. It
actually
unveiled
judging it.
it unveiled an agenda. It unveiled a clique. And that's why I kind of have focused my my attention on one particular person. I won't say his name again, but that's why, because I felt like a little bit ganged up on in a way, and I don't think I deserved that. I don't think
Uh,
any of us deserved that.
and that's the yeah, I don't know, the dungeons that got the most, like, that's the weirdest thing. It was like some of the dungeons that got the most hate were yours and Biggs, and Biggs in the terms of everybody should know my stance. Biggs in terms of like the amount of enemies was justifiable, but the rest of the dungeon was like fucking gorgeous, great level design and
Yeah,
everything.
it was
And
amazing. I mean, they were all
mine was
amazing.
just shit. Like actually, we still get bug reports on the Angel is charging up. I have no idea. I've checked it like 10 times. I don't know why that script would keep firing on game load, but
Is that script attached to an object or a trigger
yeah,
box or right?
object.
So there's no way to disable it from console then,
But
is there?
but
Unless you're actually in it.
but the object is you have to activate the object in order for it to do something.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how people are literally loading their games without ever going into MBI and they're getting the message the Angel is charging up.
Well, they've clearly gone through the trigger, but there's,
Oh no, it's not a
it's
trigger. You actually have to click the Angel. It's like it's an activator.
right. Oh, I see. See. Um, yeah, because there are a few bug reports saying, that they've finished the game and how do they turn it off? Is there a console command? So
Oh, I bet you
I don't
those
think
are
there is.
motherfuckers who cheated through it. Because if the Angel
Yeah.
doesn't hit you with the laser, it won't stop charging up and firing. It'll always try to shoot the living person in the dungeon. It's actually literally on a repeat, like on just a cycle that it just keeps cycling itself. And the yeah, so if they cheat, if they turn on God mode, they won't get affected. Or if they just like TCL across the little river, they won't get affected. So that might be it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna start
They've
putting those as
obviously
hepcacs. Fuck those people.
ju- just come out of Big's level, so they've got used to God mode. where they get completely, in Big's words, wrecked.
I never
Say that for
realized
him.
how insane his boss fight was because I would always click his boss and type kill. Like I never fucking I did it once. Like his boss fight I did once and I was like, holy shit, this is a crazy boss fight. Like I was like, I ain't doing anybody's boss fight. I'm just clicking Dio's boss kill. Then Dio sends meteors after your ass after you kill his boss. I'm like, fuck you. The I see. I don't know. They like Ellie says, a couple people came out of that pretty burned, and the which I mean, yeah, putting what 8 or 9 of us with huge fucking egos in that shit was probably like it was definitely interesting. But for the most part, I think everybody came out of it learning a little bit more at least.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it pushed me. State scripts and all that kind of stuff. Yes, I made mistakes, but it did push me. I feel a little more confident with scripting now, and some aspects, things like translate to ref, those kinds of tricks. I learned that all from you guys, really.
And it pushed me too. I
So
mean,
it
that
was,
fucking that Dante fight, jeez, that thing was fucking great. The see, the only thing that like I go back to it and wish I could have done was like had Big helping with like because I did all the like the Dante fight is kind of just when you get to him, it's just fighting him, but everything else leading up to it is all the mechanics and shit. Like I really wish Big had designed each platform of Dante, like each Dante, like each of the 4 fights with him and then
yeah,
I would have done all the mechanics leading up to it in the MMO style, shit. And then Dio stuck on the atmosphere and the environment. I think that would have made for a fucking AAA style boss fight. Like
yeah,
it was really good, but I'm not good with the atmosphere level type shit,
yeah.
which I'm hoping will change a bit in Fallout because. I don't know. I was never really a huge Skyrim fan in terms of like the setting. I'm more sci-fi nerdy, which is why I'm gonna love Fallout a bit more. Plus,
Yeah.
you can be a bit more brutal in Fallout. Like, well, as long as you're not Bethesda, clearly, you can be a bit more brutal in Fallout because of the nature of the game.
Speaking of Fallout, I listened to the last Get to Know Your Mod author. You were talking about the audience for modding, and I'm just curious. Is there a different audience for Fallout modding than there is to Skyrim? Are they the 2 separate clans of people, or
I
is it the same people?
I think you'll probably have like a 50 to 60% overlap. I don't know how much more than that. Like maybe 75% on the top end, but I think it's the ideology going into it, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
their thinking is going to be different. Like things that are a little off lore friendly isn't going to get you the same hate and psychotic retards that you got in Skyrim. You've got a different acceptance of the level of what you can get away with in a quest, what you can get away with in X, Y, and Z, and I think that's going to lend itself a little bit better to quest mods. I mean, if you look, back at Fallout New Vegas,
Yeah.
the quest mods do phenomenally better there than they ever did in Skyrim. And I don't know if that's just because the way people looked at it or what. It's just they did better. There's some great quest mods for Skyrim that did pretty good, but you got to realize the audience was even smaller back in Fallout New Vegas and
Mm.
Fallout 3, and a lot of those quest mods garnered way more downloads than the Skyrim ones ever did.
I think that makes sense because you know Fallout is basically a shoot and loot kind of setup, isn't it? So
Uh,
the premise of it, the main incentive in the game is to run around and shoot things. Is it not?
Pretty
Is it not?
much,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So
The,
so the quests are there, but they're not as big as say Skyrim, where Skyrim is pretty much quests and side quests with the odd dragon attack.
Well, and I think
So
the quests are there in Fallout, but especially with this iteration, like in Fallout. Did you ever play Fallout 3 or New Vegas?
I did, yeah.
Okay, now do you but you haven't really gotten into Fallout 4 because once again your computer can't handle it.
I've logged about 7 hours, I think, so far. But yeah, I've had to put that. I'm gonna have to put some mods on that lower the graphics. I've put one on, but I've got to put
There's a
the
few
one.
out there. There's some guys that are like doing lower textures, a bunch of other
Yeah,
things.
for the landscape. So I'm going to put that one on next and have another bash. But literally, the fans on my laptop start sounding like a helicopter.
Well, the like in Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, more New Vegas, obviously, but like I guess the best description would be like the quests there were like drinking a fine wine, and the quests in Fallout 4 are like drinking water from the tap.
Right.
And they're just boring. Like there's some really cool ones. Now don't get me wrong, there are some, but they're diamonds in the rough. Whereas opposed to Fallout 3 and New Vegas and shit, you had a lot more memorable quests and the fond memories. Like I don't really remember any. I'm gonna go play through Fallout 4 again if they haven't dropped the CK by the time I get back Monday or whatever. But the like there's nothing. There's the Constitution. There's like if you ever see a boat sitting on top of a bank, go there.
Right.
Okay, that's one of the most memorable ones there. There was a few others that I hit. There
Is
was like
that
a
on the way to Diamond City?
nah, it's way to the east.
I've only just got to Diamond City.
Yeah, it's like on the coast. There's like a murder mystery one you do in this one town that's really cool. It was memorable for me. But there's like, but I mean, out of the 100 or so quests you did, I think I remember like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. It's just and then the fact that you got Preston Garvey nonstop like another settlement needs your help.
That's the bit I don't get, the settlement stuff. That's a bit too much like The Sims or something. And it's just, I've had a little bash at it, but it's just, whilst I'm going to put the power station here and I'm moving it around. And I'm just thinking, I just want to go out and shoot things. I want to find some tin cans and shit like that. And
And
by the way, your little your chem mod that turns junk,
oh
that
god, that
transports
thing is
junk.
so
That's
priceless.
genius, genius.
That thing is needed. Like I made it. Like somebody was like,
Absolutely.
why don't you do this?" And I'm like, "Cause I don't give a shit about you. I made this for my next playthrough. Because I
I think
hate
that's what.
going back home. Like especially if you're on a slower computer too. Fast
Yeah.
traveling back to your fucking thing is gonna take you like 5 minutes to get there and back just to dump all your shit.
See,
And
I'm a bit of a completionist, and if I go into an area, I've got to explore every single area, every single part of it, every little room, and see if I can find secrets. So, I will pick up lots of junk and stuff like that. That's the kind of player that I am. So that your mod there is just genius, and I think
it was
that's
really tempting to do it for armor as well, but there's no. I know Fading's been looking at it, but there's no inherent way to scrap armor. Like I could
mm,
actually detect what you don't have equipped and send it back to your workstation, but that's about it. So I just decided not to do that shit. I was like, meh. The I don't know. There's a lot of things in that, like you're saying, the Minecraft Sims part of the building settlements. Like it would be better if the settlers actually worked like that too. Instead, they're like retards that walk into walls and do a bunch of other
they
shit.
just seem to be hammering the walls. That's what they do.
And but you notice that there's a lot of people. Like if you go on the Fallout 4 Reddit, there's just people posting pictures of their fucking settlement projects that they spent hundreds of hours on, and all I can think of is this is the most redeeming quality of your game, Bethesda. Like fuck you guys, but I mean there's something for everyone, and That's actually it's a smart play, but I think they downplayed a lot of the things that made the previous games great
Mm.
in order to try to pick up a bigger audience by doing, garrison type shit from World of Warcraft to try to, get the more boring players. Which, yeah, if you're a fucking constant settlement builder, DD Productions 83, Darren just called you a fucking boring person because you are. The that shit is boring.
But I mean, like, it is popular.
It
You know,
is.
I
You
remember
know
on
why? Because
Facebook
most
there
people
was
in
an
the
app.
world are boring as fuck.
On Facebook, there used to be a thing called Gardens of Time. Do you remember that? And you
No.
had to sort of like, well, it was like a hidden mystery game. So you had to find objects, but then you unlocked things to build. So with every level that you completed, you then could build a little town, and you kept on having to improve it. So I can see the mentality of that working its way into Fallout, and people who actually enjoy building things like Minecraft.
Well, and
I
part of that
guess.
comes to the instant gratification nature that we have as humans, like, and especially in recent culture, recent years, you want the endorphin rush of doing something now, and placing the pieces together. Like Minecraft really hit that niche hard, where it was you place the things and you can immediately see a result of what you're doing and what you're building, and
Mm.
it lets people be a little bit creative while also getting a result in what they're doing. But it also creates an infinite feedback loop of, well, I mean, minus console users who are just like cheating, but you just TGM and have infinite resources. But I mean, it creates an infinite feedback loop of playability where it's, go gather resources, build some shit, go gather resources, build some shit, get your settlers to do some shit, make a bigger settlement, go gather some resources, build some shit. And it's,
And keep maintaining.
yep, and keep
Got to check
maintaining.
it every day. Got to check it every day. You've made $10. Old pre-war money, of course.
Yeah, like I was telling the other guys, my viewpoint is always in quests. Like I like quests. I like memorable characters. I like,
Me too.
and oddly enough, as I've gotten older, that's turned into making them, because, quite frankly, a lot of people just fall fucking flat on that so bad. Like,
Mm.
well, a lot of people, I mean, like game developers, like the game developers have pushed more toward, um, and it's one of the things I didn't like. I don't like as much about the Elder Scrolls series or the Fallout series. I don't like the whole silent protagonist thing, because I don't like. It's a half cop out in my opinion, because if you make a voiced protagonist, you're setting yourself into one person, right? So you're gonna lose
Hmm.
people that don't understand it. So they're basically trying to go for the lowest common denominator and get everybody to tell their own story in their own mind with their own character, which is kind of cool. But no, I like Bioshock Infinite. Like, fucking, that was good because you have a voiced protagonist who has his own character and shit. And oh my god, the fucking, like, maybe I'm one of the weird ones who I'm okay with any type of a story, because I mean, well, like, I read all the fucking time. And it's not like I'm not playing a choose your own adventure book. I'm like reading people, I'm reading
Mm.
books. They tell a story from start to finish with complex characters that, you don't influence as the reader. You're reading what happens in the story, and it's I don't know.
But
The
I
imagination
think that,
aspect I love.
as you and I both know, the gaming community, gaming, not gay community, is full of role playing. So a lot of people take their characters very, very seriously. As you know, when you get those comments saying, my character really enjoys your creation, and I was wondering if you could turn them into a jukebox, that kind of thing. So they really enjoy the role playing aspect, and I think a voiced protagonist, you lose that because they can't role play into that character, can they?
I agree, but I like a voice protagonist, but like I don't. All right, let's correct this, because people will be like, I hate the voice protagonist in Fallout 4, because
Yes,
quite frankly, it sounds like they were on just as much drugs as everybody who was recording Skyrim audio was. It's fucking terrible.
I am up for that challenge to revoice him.
Oh my god, that's 12,700 lines of dialogue, right?
Yes, it may take me some time. I'm going to open my own Twitch channel, and you can sponsor me.
I'm
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 joking.
in. I'm in. You've got the
I'm going to
list.
change my name to Wheeze. It may happen. It may not.
I've,
I
I've got
might
I've got that.
resign halfway through.
I've got the female
No,
side up. I can make you the male side with the
no.
whole 12,000.
I suspect half of that is basically him going, oh, It's those kind of noises, isn't it? There can't be
So
that many
true.
lines.
Yeah. No,
This isn't.
there actually is. There's like
It's not
9,000
War and
plus.
Peace.
There's like 9,500 lines that are actual lines. It's terrible. But some of them are so
I'd give it a go.
duplicate-y.
I'd give it a go. Recording voice is the easiest part of modding for me. So that's something I could work
Well,
on over a few
then you've got to
months.
cut them all up and put them in the sound files, and oh my god.
That's easy, easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
So you guys just heard it here. Paul's going to revoice the main male character.
Into a camp Hitler. Let's talk about that's what I'll do. A camp. No, I won't do a camp Hitler. But yeah, I
So you're
mean,
gonna join me and some guy in the gay Hitler Preston Garvey love triangle mod.
I will voice him for you.
Well, we have to have a real German
Hello,
voice him. You
I
can't.
am German.
Nope, not close enough. We'll just have Big do it. Do me a favor also and go to Tools, Options, Sounds, and mute all sounds in your Skype.
All right, hang on a sec.
Is that on your phone that's beeping, or is it on your computer?
No, it's Skype, so you can hear all that.
Yeah, I can hear you beeping in Skype. It's very light, but I'm gonna have those comments.
So audio
people.
settings.
It should be Tools, Options, Sounds, and
sounds.
mute all
Here we go.
sounds. Yeah, it's the
All
notifications.
sounds. Done.
Yeah,
Done.
I have to leave it muted from now on because I figured that was that group chat because I see it keep lighting up.
Yeah. It's Eleanor. It's getting angry. I think it is.
She's
Anyway.
reporting people again.
It is Eleanor, actually. Yeah. Actually. Yeah, what were we talking about? Okay, yes, voicing. So while we're on the subject of voice actors, I want to defend voice actors for a moment, if I may, because
Is this
some of
because
them have
I've
come
attacked
on.
them?
Go on. You haven't. Some
Well, I
people
have.
have.
I've
Though.
attacked some voice actors, but
I just want to say that, obviously I'm a model for myself, but I quite enjoy doing voice for people that ask me to do it. If I've got the time, I'll do it. But I just want to say that some mod authors are a pain in the arse, right? Some of them are so picky. You take your time to record something, you send it to them, and they say, "Oh, I'm not getting it. Can you retry that line in this way?" One particular author, I think I did about 6 different takes of one line before he was happy. Another mod author didn't even tell me that he used my audio. Do you know what I mean? So, in defense of voice actors, we are not, as lame as sometimes we're made out to be. Everyone, voice actors, mod authors, a lot of us have real lives. A lot of us do this in our spare time. So sometimes the creative timescale is a little bit adaptive. So sometimes it can take 2 or 3 weeks to get something done. So defending the voice actors here.
well, and I'll back him up on this one a little bit because some people have been following along for what the shit I'm working on. We have a radio station, and Paul actually voices. In case anybody kind of missed it, he voices Wilson in the Prelude mods. And which, by the way, we're getting a full revamp. Like, I can still use your regular audio, but I'm going to revamp the way everything's placed once I get a hold of the CK, just so I can pack it with episode 1.
Yeah.
But Paul is actually also working on the radio station with Helen, the woman who voiced the voiceover for Chronophage.
She has an amazing voice.
She really does. She's going to be our host. But they're working on the radio station, and that mentality he's talking about where they need repicks and whatever, it's something I actually fight with voice actors all the time with, because they don't understand that once I've picked them to do a role and I like the way they're interpreting the role, everything's fair game. Like, go the fuck at it. I'm not going to be picky about I'm not going to be, besides audio quality, I'm not going to be super picky. And I actually end up having to fight with them. It's like I don't know if it's like battered voice actor syndrome, because they've had a deal with people who literally thinks their shit don't stink. And let me tell you that you're not going to be perfect at everything, and most people can't write for shit. And even if you do write the things, you're going to be biased again. Like, if you actually think that your writing is really, really good, and you're like, I'm the best writer ever, you're probably a shitty writer. The self-doubt and loathing seem to go hand in hand with creative people who are actually good.
Yeah, they often have a set voice in their head, and then you're not anywhere near it, but actually you bring a new form of life to the character.
Well, see, and
You know,
that's the interesting thing where my approach to it too is like like I was talking to Helen too. Is the when I first heard her audition for the commercial, the first thing into my head is like I started jumping onto the radio station that we were talking about at one point because I was like, oh my god, she's like the female equivalent of Gopher, and it like kind of ran from there, and it's like you just said, they have a set voice in their head, which I think is a terrible way to create a character. By the way, the unless you already have like I was talking to some of the other voice actors I have, and I was saying that it's better if I can rewrite a character's lines really easily based on a person better than I can cast a person into a role for a preset character I have. And the reason for that is that you're always going to be super picky when you have a preset role in your head that's like down to the nitty gritty, because it's really hard to find a person who can accompany, can embody the entirety of what you created. But if you can find somebody close or somebody with their own quirks, you can really quickly rewrite your damn character. Like you
yeah.
can rewrite little key things about them and make them fit to the person. It makes it a better fit too, because then it comes off more natural. It comes off more. The voice actor doesn't have to try as hard to. And then, I mean, a lot of the more amateur voice actors we work with are newer people, and they don't have that acting gene where they can embody a entirely new character off the riff. But if you give them something that's similar to themselves and then just goes off in a quirk or whatever, or it has a lot of similarities to the voice actor, they can bring that character to life a whole lot better, in my opinion. And obviously, not as big of an issue with people who do it professionally, but we don't fork out the 250 plus an hour for the retards who think they're worth that
Oh
much.
God. I actually watched that little the Twitch of that guy. Yeah. I mean, there's some good actors there. Don't get me wrong, but God, I
There
think
is, but the audacity to think you're worth 125 an hour. Like
yeah,
that, because they
no,
have two people working on this shit and it's 125 an hour, and then of course they do that. They always throw up that argument, well, we have to take what work we can get because there isn't a whole lot of work. And I'm like, well, maybe that's because you're charging 250 an hour, dipshit. Like,
yeah.
if I had somebody like, I'll come paint your house for $200 an hour, and then another guy who's like, I paint your house for $10 an hour, I'm hiring the Mexican.
Well, it's nice to get paid, but why are we all doing this? Why are we here? What's our incentive? Is it money, or is it because we just need to do something, to create, be it voice acting, be it making new models, be it scripting? There's something in there that's driving us to do it, isn't there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
stupidity.
yeah. Obsession. In my case, it's obsession.
Oh,
It's
oh,
basically,
it's an OCD for me too. It's
ah,
just
absolutely.
I've
I've
got to
got to
create
finish this
something.
bloody thing. I'm gonna do it. Why can't it work? I mean, I spent the last 2 days trying to get a robot NIF to go into Skyrim to work correctly, and it was all the usuals. Has vertex colors, wasn't ticked, and all that kind of stuff. And then certain parts of it weren't showing up as well. In the actual what do you call it? The vet, what's it called? I forgot the name. The vertexes themselves. So certain vertexes were flipped, so they weren't showing up in the game.
Oh, the
But
normals, you mean? Probably.
that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I made about 20 of these NIFs
Jesus.
until the final one worked. And it looks pants, but it was me being obsessed, and I needed to know how it worked, and I needed to prove to myself that I can do it. In the same way as for MBI, I made my little imps with their little goggles and their glow map eyes and stuff like that. That took about 7 attempts to get that, and then I completely forgot about how to do it.
That's why people don't understand that. When I'm like, what's the best? 'Cause I think was it the first? It was either the first or the second live stream where somebody's like, "What's your advice to get into modding?" And I'm like, "Well, if you're straight, go to a gay bar and try to hook up with the opposite gender for 6 hours straight." Because that's how frustrating it is modding. Like, it
the,
gets
the,
you have to have
the best advice
persistence.
I can give, is basically to start small and take one step at a time. And you know, each time you take a new step, you'll have a new question to ask, and then just get onto Google and ask that question, and
Yep.
eventually it will all start piecing together. It will make sense in the end.
See, my
Yeah.
advice differs though on that regard because that's probably great advice for depending on the level of stubbornness.
Mhm.
Because like okay, on a scale of 1 to 100, my stubbornness is at least a 99.7. And so mine, of course, was jumping into probably the dumbest shit I could have done, which was a full-on quest mod with split choices, options, different like. So it depends on your level of stubbornness. If you're one hell of
Mhm.
a stubborn motherfucker, bite off way more than you can chew.
We both
it,
are.
it'll pay off in dividends because if you're so because part of the thing is that you've seen what we get what modders can do for Skyrim, and you as in general whoever wants to get into modding. And I always hate the questions where I see, is it possible to do X? Well, a simple Google search would have shown you that it's possible. And knowing that it's possible is 90% of the battle when it comes to modding. And
Yeah.
once you know something's possible, that means the solution is out there. And even if it's something similar to what you want to do, you can download somebody else's mod, deconstruct it, and make the changes necessary for your shit to adapt. But it depends on how stubborn you are, because you have to, I think, going into this, have one hell of a stubborn streak, because it's an uphill fight. But it's a fight that going into it, you can be guaranteed that you know you can win. So that's always something to look at. Like you can look at different shit and then realize that what you want to do is a combination of X, Y, and Z, which means it's possible. Which means that your struggle is only to get to the finish line that you know exists. So it's just a matter of, are you stubborn enough to get to that finish line?
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm hopefully stubborn enough to get to that finish line. I mean, I'm determined, by God as my witness, I'm determined to finish Carry On. But
Just
if I
just
will, I don't know.
just merge
I
them
don't know.
into Fallout.
Yeah, well, I did think if I could transport Ben's face into
Oh, you
Fallout,
can. You can.
can I
People,
from
yeah,
Skyrim?
people have done some of it. I don't think there's any tools out. I think probably a month or two into the CK you might see some shit like that. But yeah, it's basically his face is just a baked NIF. All you got to do is convert, do the whatever shit. Somebody will just wait. Somebody will come out with a tool for it.
Ooh. Well, if I could, because I thought of a way in which Ben could be in Fallout, in the Fallout universe. Um, there's a part in. I'm going to selfishly mention my own mod now.
Go for
So,
it.
so Marvin V2 was updated in February after a year of work, and about four people have downloaded it. But in that.
Fucking
I basically created this quest, which is like a side quest or
oh,
side crawl.
496 people got it, but yeah, that's pretty low.
Yeah, since February. That's quite bad after a year of work. Anyway, I'm not bitter. But yeah, I came up with the idea that I've got the big quest, which is the main story, but there's a point in the quest where everybody disappears. Marvin disappears, Ben disappears, and then the update for Marvin was basically what happens to Marvin during that time. So him as a follower in Skyrim is basically what happens to him during the time he disappears in the big quest. Now Ben also disappears, so I've got the room there to do something with Ben, if it's possible. If I could
You
get
should
his
you should just
face,
stick him into Vault 273 and we'll have him on the space station.
yeah, could do that. Do that. But then I like the idea of having, little packages inside separate things that link them all together. So I've done that from get-go. So the Benjamin Dune follower mod it has references to the big quest. So, for instance, in the Benjamin Doom follower mod, he talks about his past and he gets grumpy the more you ask him about his past and why he hates bards. So that story is uncovered in the big quest, why that is. I'm not going to give it away because it is the big secret. But basically, he gets dark because of something, that happens in Carry On Skyrim. And it's the same with Marvin. So I could do anything with Ben there, right? If I could import him into Fallout 4, which you say I can, then that's something that gets my
Yeah.
creative juices going now.
Trust me, they didn't change a whole hell of a lot, despite what people think. Like we still have soul gems, and they're relatively sure that dragons work on the same framework as vertebrates, so it's fucking there's some stupid shit like I want to put soul gem mechanics into Fallout. kill kill somebody and eat their soul, or a robot and eat their power core. I don't know. It's like there's just shit they left in there that it's so completely obvious that they, I don't know. Yeah, fucking Bethesda. I'm so doing that rant video later.
So what are you going to rant about? Tell me.
Oh, fucking Bethesda. I'm not gonna burn my rant in this interview because this will come out on Sunday, and then the interview will come out tomorrow, which will be Friday. I'm recording this Thursday. Wait, is it Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday morning. For anybody wondering, like sometimes we record this shit early. It's just the shit they did. They were just lazy. They fucking the DLCs that are just garbage. The fucking their Bethesda.net forums, which I don't know how old she is. 6-year-old niece could do better. Like, I would actually drop $1,000 on a bet that my 6-year-old niece can make better forums in 3 months than Bethesda has made in the last 6.
It is pretty unfriendly, isn't it? It logs you out every 5 seconds.
Dude, it's garbage. It logs you out. The moment you respond to any thread, it instant subscribes you to that thread to get email notifications. What the fuck?
Yeah, I had about 12 just from because obviously the CK isn't out yet, but there was a thread saying, "Are you interested in the CK?" And of course,
by the way, they gave that to every retard in the face of the planet.
Yeah.
Because we've been hearing about it from some captain. I don't know what an NDA is. I'm not going to give away his name. No, I'm just kidding. But apparently on the forums, there's literally people asking how to even like boot up ESPs or some shit in the CK, like how to do the most basic of crap that's covered in the Skyrim wiki from 5 years ago. And those are the people who got the beta CK test, the literal imbeciles, and then the people who are actually really good at what they do, who don't even use the CK because they basically use the source code to make the script extenders and a bunch of other shit. So it's the people who got the CK are a little bit on the weird side. Yeah, there's some good people who got it, but they're far outnumbered by the morons.
I'm kind of curious to know what will be the first flux of mods made
one of the guys already
via
released,
CK.
One of the guys already released one, the Ultimate Follower thing. Expired released one. They can actually release the mods that they make with the CK beta. They just can't talk about the CK beta. It's like Fight Club, You can recruit people for it and release information, but you can't talk about it. No, that's basically about it. They actually got the okay from G Staff. It's like you can release mods with it, but you can't. I think even TrainWiz released a mod that he made with the CK.
Oh right, okay.
So
is that like the first mod to be released via the CK then?
There's been a couple.
Right.
Okay. I mean, they can't tell you though. So the only way you know is if somebody's in the beta, and you would know by booting up the ESP and Fallout 4 Edit and being able to see that they did shit that Fallout 4 Edit can't do yet.
Right.
That's a big indicator.
Whenever you say Xedit or anything like that, my brain just turns to mush. I don't get it.
I've been staring at
that's beyond
IDs
me.
For way too long. 0100801803. Fucking ugh.
I'm really enjoying modeling at the moment. Not for fashion shoots or anything like that. I mean modeling as in 3ds Max. I'm really enjoying just playing with things. So that's kind of where I'm going off at the moment.
You're gonna have to backtrack to 2013.
Really? I'm on 14, I think.
I'm on 16. Like, you can't get anything before 2014 on. Like, you actually have to torrent the damn thing in order to get 2013, because what people don't know is another thing I'm gonna rant about. Bethesda released their NIF exporter for 3ds Max. Well, it happens to be for 3ds Max 2013, and it's a convoluted pile of garbage.
Gosh. That wouldn't work on 12 then.
No, definitely not 12. A jump from 12 to 13 was a big jump. It semi-works on 14 and it semi-works on 15. I don't think anybody's tested it. Like 2013 all the way up to current use like the same base structure, so a lot of the shit would work, but 2012 to 2013 I believe was a pretty big change. So
well, I'm using 14. I mean it's a great piece.
It might
Great
work on it.
piece of kit. I loved it. But obviously, I will use it for stupid things.
But on the
So,
plus side, if you get it now, we can finally, after 4 or 5 years, export Skyrim nifs correctly.
ooh,
Yeah, we're Bethesda cares about the modding community, guys.
of course it does.
About as much as your abusive ex-boyfriend, cared about beating your ass repeatedly every night. That was a bad
I
analogy.
think, of course, they care. They need modders. I mean, that's the niche, isn't it?
I
Of
don't
that's why
think they
these
give a
games.
flying fuck anymore.
I don't believe that. That's why
Okay,
these
okay, okay.
games
I
are
okay.
successful.
Some people inside the company might, but I don't think the people in charge do.
Well,
Which in
no,
charge might be ZeniMax at this point.
they don't even know what they're in charge of. They just turn up for work and drink coffee. But it's probably
Did you
like a
see that?
boardroom, a
Did,
smoky boardroom.
did you see that link somebody posted where they think this is what Bethesda looks like? I should put it in the description. It's where two people show up to work wearing the same tie.
Yeah.
Did you see that video?
No Boys Network. No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, somebody posted it in the chat. They're like, "This is what Bethesda work was." Hold on, I'm gonna find this so you can watch this in real time because you're gonna laugh your ass off. It was Australian too, I believe. There we go. Okay, I found it. Let me link this to you. Oh crap, the audio's gonna come through on my side.
All right, I'll watch it later because
No, no,
I
no.
can't really
Oh, you
do
can't.
both.
Why can't you do both?
Well, I've just got your screen up at the moment.
Just pull that up and like just watch it for a minute. Like just a minute is more than enough.
Put it up from where? I can't see.
You can't see the chat.
No,
What? How do you?
I've just got a big blank picture of you.
Hit the little chat bubble at the bottom right.
All right, okay.
It's right there. Two people wear the same title work. 1999 episode 02.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, you want me to watch that now?
just I'm watching it with no audio. It's still priceless.
Hang on,
This is,
it's
I,
opening.
I think Brendan linked it with this is must be what it's like to work at Bethesda.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, it's fine.
This is 4 minutes long.
No, no, just watch the first minute. It's great for the full 4 minutes, but it's like this is just like
I'll watch that later, I think. Yeah, but I made a little skit on Bethesda, didn't I, for the paid modding?
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of imagined it as because I always felt that they must like modders because actually we do generate a lot of income for them. So I just feel like it was just a stupid idea that somebody came up with, and then they didn't have the strength to sort of back it up. I know you think differently about it, but that was my impression. The way it came out, so just out of the blue, it's almost as if someone said, I've got an idea. Why don't we try this? Oh, that sounds good. I'll get Gary to get onto it and get marketing in. Okay, let's do it tomorrow. Right. Okay then. Just a really a little idea that's come from on high that sort of wheedled its way down to the workers and then just happened and not really thought through, not kind of considered all the possibilities. Do you not
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah, it's like as you know, I want it to happen. I just want it to happen right. But
Oh yeah, I'm not debating that. I'm just talking about how it
oh
happened
god, it's just yeah.
originally. I mean, what was the concept? Well, was there Gary and Tom up in the top office? It just, coming up with an idea about something. How can we make money? Our shareholders are complaining. Oh, I know. What about modding? Modding? What's that? That kind of thing. And it works its way down because I know there was like a couple of months run into it, I know about all the dynamics of that, but it just seems like an off the cuff idea. After when was Morrowind out? That was 2003, was it?
God, a long
Yeah,
time ago.
so modding has been growing since 2003, and then in 2014, 15, they go, oh, let's start charging for modding. So it just seems a bit crazy. The idea that they don't care about modders, I think they do. I think we actually generate a lot of income for them. I mean, Skyrim's still a top game, isn't it?
I think it had more active players, like, in the time period. I think somebody was linking that, like, the months after its release, it had more active players than Fallout 4 currently has.
Mm.
At least as far as Steam goes. We can't really tell what data is on consoles. I don't think. I don't know.
I mean,
They frustrate me because it's like on it's literally like the one hand slapping the shit out of the other one type of deal. Like, oh yeah, we care about you guys, and the other hand's backhanding us across the face. Like, it's like, make up your minds, guys. Like, and part of the problem is that you're right. We've always generated, as far as modders go, money for them in terms of, oh well, this looks really cool in the game. I'm gonna buy the game. Then even if the game's on sale for
exactly.
$10, it's still money coming in. And what they're looking to do is capitalize on that 50-fold. I mean, when you think about it, directly profiting, 45% or whatever off of our work will impact their net worth by a metric shit ton. And that's going to, I mean, it, on the one hand, as a business person, and if I was looking at it from that perspective, I can't blame them. I would do the same goddamn thing. I would have taken the same cuts, the same risks. I would have actually stuck it out with the paid modding just to weather the storm, because the money at the end of the day was probably worth more than the publicity thing, which is a twofold thing. So I'm pretty sure it's Steam that dropped that because of the publicity, not Bethesda. Um, that's what I said. It's a really, really weird to me, because it's, as a business perspective, I wouldn't give a crap about the modders for more than money generating issues, which is what I honestly think that they're. I mean, I'm projecting what I would do in a business situation onto them, which is generally pretty accurate. If you're a good business, your goal is the bottom line, and the bottom line is a whole bunch of different factors, from how you're perceived visually. Like, you've got to factor it in, the quality of what you're throwing out, how you're perceived, how you treat the community, what their feedback is. But at the end of the day, you want to go with whatever options, conglomerate, even if there's some bad publicity, that nets you the biggest profit. That's your job. You're a company. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's like that's why I kind of don't give much credence to the care about the modding community as more than like a giant loot crate. Obviously they do. Obviously they did starting out, because I mean, there was no reason to offer the entire modding tools and shit and shipping it with Morrowind. I think it might have devolved since then, but we can't even say how much, because they're such a secretive fucking company. They never come out and talk to
It's
anybody.
it's clearly a selling point of the game, isn't it?
It's a huge
That's
one.
why they can get away with maybe the game shipping out with not all assets intact, let's say. Um, you know, that's because they know there is a community there that will fix those problems or improve it or add, new things that make the game even more attractive. Um, so that they're aware of that. They're clearly
Like 12-year-old sexy followers.
exactly. I like that segue there, Darren.
You got to rope in the Japanese contingent, guys. I just called all Japanese pedophiles.
Oh,
GG
that
me.
stuff gives me the creeps. It gives me the creeps.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I'm gonna do this in the rant as well, but like, it's gonna be a short segment. It's literally just gonna be this, okay? Right? Anybody who doesn't want to say that they're pedo mods, right? There's always that they're not pedo mods, they're legal, blah blah blah. Explain to me why 99.9% of the child follower mods are women.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Somebody will be like, well, pedos target males too. Yeah, but most priests don't play Skyrim. So, congrats. I just
They're just
insulted all the
creepy. They're
Japanese
just
and Catholics.
well, you know, each to their own and all that. But as a parent myself, I'm entitled to my opinion, and my opinion is they are creepy as fuck. And I don't know. Let me just explain what being a parent here is. Have you seen Sophie's Choice with Meryl Streep?
I have not.
Okay, it's a film set in German occupation, and basically she's a Jewish lady, and there's a scene in it where she has to board a train. She has a daughter and a son, and the German officer says to her, which one? Now, the train is going off to the concentration camp, and the van is going off to the gas chamber. And she has to choose which one she's allowed to keep. And in the film, she lets her daughter die. And it's a harrowing scene. Now, when I was like a teenager watching that film, I just went, so what? But as soon as you become a parent, suddenly the hankies come out with that kind of stuff. The idea of anybody hurting your child is just horrific, and that's what being a parent is. So I can understand why there's quite a bit of rage starting to build in regards to a lot of these child followers, the mods, and a lot of people are actually starting to get themselves banned because they're starting to comment on it more than they ever did before. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
People are starting to outcry even more,
like
and I know you are as
threads
well.
are coming up too.
Yeah. So it is an issue that should be addressed, really. I know you can defend if you investigate the NIF, you can go, well, actually, you can't, it's not undressed and all that kind of stuff, but you can investigate it, you know, in a scientific way, in a meticulous way. But on the surface, what is it saying to us when you go onto that page on the hot files and you see, you know, a child basically dressed as an adult, as a follower? You know, what is it selling us? What is it selling us? That's the question. And to me, I just think it's creepy.
Oh, I
I
agree.
I will never entertain it, really.
And this is where I'll hurt some bridges with people, because I don't know, people have accused me of being a social justice warrior, etc. I'm like, I really don't give a shit. I'm like, porn's awesome. Let's have tons of porn. Let's just not put it on the front page. The and I mean, and one of the things where I'm really libertarian, and I understand this in my viewpoints, but I'm completely in favor of like pedophilia type games in order for the treatment or therapy of people with that kind of a compulsion. Like, that puts me out on the edges for people in some cases, but my viewpoint of it is we demonize pedophilia so much as it's a and obviously we should in some ways, but the problem is that we demonize it so much that the people with those urges never seek help or therapy.
Have you
And
ever watched the Day to Day?
uh-uh.
I'm going to have to link it to you at some point, but there's an entire, it's a fake news program from the 90s, and they did a very controversial entire episode about paedophilia. And it is funny. You've got to watch it.
I might have to.
I'll say
It's
no
like,
more than that.
I
It's
just
Chris Morris.
I was gonna say
Chris
I
Morris.
just hate the way that we treat. Like, I think it was oh fuck, what's his name? Shit. One of the comedians I really like too. He's a half bald redhead. Somebody will put his name down. I'll remember it later. But he was going on about the problem with America and pedophilia is the fact that the punishment is the same for basically kidnapping a child and molesting him or whatever as it is for kidnapping the child, molesting them, and stabbing them in the head and burying them in the backyard. So your chances of getting caught one way are exponentially higher than killing the kid and burying it in the backyard. So of course, what do pedophiles when they enter the regret stage do? They kill the kid and bury him in the backyard, and that's because we have such a demonized culture about it that it's like I don't know. I don't know which way to, because it burns into my head that everybody it's a mental disorder, it's a compulsion, it's shit that it's there, and sure they can manage it with treatment, etc., but it's not like it's going to change the fact that it's there for a lot of people with it's like serial killers. Serial killers get that compulsion to kill, they kill, and then it's sated for a while, and that's the problem, is you're still dealing with a mental compulsion in my viewpoint, and a lot of studies about it. But I don't think it should be something that we're advertising.
Yeah, it's just, again, each to their own. I understand, the Nexus's position on it. I understand. Just from a personal perspective, I find it uncomfortable just to see that kind of stuff. But each to their own.
See, I don't even care so much about the Nexus.
A 12-year-old player might
it's
just go.
It's the fact that it's in the fucking hot files, dude.
Yeah,
it's showing what the
there's a
user
nice
base
little
is
thread, isn't there, at the
downloading.
moment, the decline of modding. Have you seen that one?
I thought it
It's
got
like,
shut down. I might have to open that back up. I was reading it like a few days ago, I think, and then
it's like 8 pages or something now of people who like to talk. But It's the same old thing, you know. Why aren't my mods on the hot files? You know,
Oh,
it's
jeez.
basically people want titillation. That's, sex sells, doesn't it? And that's what they want. If the same way as in Fallout, as soon as CBBE came out, bang, that was hot files.
Like
And
all
then
the
all,
hot files were CCTV
yeah, and
related.
understandably because it's titillation, and we're all a little bit. I'm just as guilty. I think when I first started Skyrim, when I started using mods, yeah, of course I downloaded
You were
the odd Slukiyama
straight
because
into sex lab.
no, I didn't go to Sex Lab, but no, but the odd little bit of Slutiyama because yeah, I want my character to look good while they're beating up a dragon, that kind of stuff. But it's it sells, and I understand that. It's titillation, but that's always going to get a bigger pull than somebody who's redesigned the game mechanics to work more effectively.
Which is a
But
sad commentary on our culture.
yeah, I know. But that's the same with anything. As soon as any new technology that comes out, there's always going to be a sex
You
equivalent,
want to
isn't
you want
there?
to watch some VR porn? It's like the
Exactly.
only thing being. I think I saw a VR game come out on Steam. I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, I might actually get that. And like, I mean, it's not that I would get that because I want to get that. It's like I have to get that to justify the fact that I have a fucking Oculus Rift sitting a few feet away that's just gathering layers of dust. It's
Oh,
I was like, oh, I'm gonna try like it's that fancy new thing, VR. Like nobody's done anything with it. It's just and then when you use it, I actually booted it up for Fallout. There was a program that allowed you to use it for Fallout 4. Oh my god, I got like so fucked up after like a minute
I,
or
j-
two.
I can't wait for the YouTube clips of people playing it with that on.
No, it's
When you
terrible,
watch
man.
them, like when the Wii first came out,
They're
the
swinging
Wii,
shit.
and there were videos of just watching the people playing the Wii and how stupid they looked.
Yeah.
So you might have people going shopping with like VR goggles on to do
Oh,
basic normal things. But it just looks so silly and so surreal to be in someone's living room watching them whilst they're playing a VR game.
I couldn't even somebody I think Blue linked me a thing where it was like people were in the VR helmet and they were like walking on a board like and the VR was like them rescuing a kitten off a skyscraper or some shit, and these
Yeah,
people were like freaking out, like they were showing them on the board like freaking out because they thought looking over the edge. I'm sitting here like I maybe it's just something in me where I don't have that disconnect. I would just be like walk out, grab the kitten, walk back type of video because I'm like I'm in a fucking VR simulation. I'm not standing over. I guess they're like, well, some people trick, you can trick the mind, and I'm like, I just put on this giant ass fucking goggle thing with
yeah.
cords attached to it. I know that even if I'm like am hanging over a building somehow via magic, like this cord's gonna catch me when I fall because it's an HDMI. That could probably actually no, it's an HDMI cable. Those things can hold you up, man. Like it's strapped in there. The
They've been talking about this technology for a long time, though, haven't they? There's a film, isn't there, Brainstorm with Christopher Walken, and that's like it's a 1980s film, but it's like that's
Jeez.
about the same kind of technology where you can record the brain's memories and then play them back through these goggles. And there's this
Does
guy
he
in
does
it.
he do more cowbell in there?
Well, there's a guy. There's a guy who one guy records himself having sex, and then I think it's this like janitor or something decides to loop the orgasm in it and he basically they find him the next day just like like a gibbering mass. He's just basically there like twitching to fuck, and he never gets over it. But yeah, brainstorm, I think it's called. Christopher
this
Walken.
this this took an interesting turn. The
I
no,
know,
it's like that thing where it's like
technology.
if you put a chip in a monkey's head and they hit a button and they'd have an orgasm, the monkey would hit the button until he died, and it's like the same thing with a human. Like,
Especially if he's male,
yeah,
because that's all we think about.
there you go,
I
women.
think
All
we
we
need to
think
move
about.
the conversation on because
No, I'm going back to this, and I'm. It's
okay.
clearly all we think about. The video games are rife with it. The and then shit does like I don't know if you saw that whole crap with there's a point where it's like the rebound gets even worse than the actual like problems. Like here we are bitching about the the wannabe child porn, whatever, child sexy slutty followers on the Nexus, and then you get the split around where somebody like Blizzard like pulls the image and the animation pose of Tracer with like turning around backwards so her butt's prominent because it over sexualizes her.
Mm.
I don't know if you saw that shit or even care, like the Overwatch.
No,
Like,
no,
well,
no.
we weren't trying to sexualize Tracer. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, have you seen the cosplay with Tracer? It's pretty much all sexualized. I don't know. It's like that flip around where suddenly they just don't want to make anything sexual, like the Anita Sarkeesian bullshit. The let's make everything not sexual. It's like, no, there should be some levels of sexual, in my opinion. It's like, obviously, like you said, sex sells. It's but make it a
Titillation.
medium, like, yeah, titillation. Like, make it a medium. Make it so there's some content involved. I don't know. I think
Mm.
I'm just getting old. The
Well, yeah, that happens.
that happens. It happens over time.
Yeah,
it's
age
you,
creeps in on us all.
you start looking at things a little bit differently.
Yeah, especially when you become a parent.
I can imagine. I'm
Yeah.
not going down that road. I'm not crazy. The I know how
Some of us didn't get a choice.
you had a choice, buddy. The
Yeah, contraception.
was it somebody said having a kid is easier than ordering a pizza, so why do we applaud it so much? And somebody was like arguing with him, and he's like, well, let me ask you a question. He goes, how many times have you heard oops, I'm pregnant, and how many times have you heard oops, I ordered a pizza? Like, this is a very valid point. Nah, I don't know. I know how I was as a kid, and I really don't want to go through that because I would be like, I would have killed myself. Like, I don't. My parents had some self control, I guess, or they were just genetically predisposed to love their demon spawn. I have no idea.
I'm trying desperately not to go off on a tangent about kids, if I can help it.
I was gonna say, I was like, my sister has three, and that's the funny thing is, I was like, I always refer to her as the mentally disabled one because she carried three parasites inside of her for 9 months at a pop, and she still continues to clothe and feed them. The I'm a weird one when it comes to kids. Like, fuck kids. But you're like, I can't say anything. I'm a parent. This will be recorded for all time, and they'll hear it 10 years down the road.
Exactly. I love them all. I love them
I love them
both.
all equally.
They're
Oh,
my
wait,
little
you only have
gems.
two. It's like you gotta have. What was it? Other comedian
I'm
Carlos
not in
Mencia.
America.
That's
I
true.
don't live in a trailer.
The, like, it's Carlos Mencia that said you had to have at least five because you have to keep re-rolling till you find one who's not a retard. He's like, if you only have one or two, you think they're the greatest. It's like if you have five or six, it breaks that mentality, and you're just like, fuck them. I was like, that's kind of true. My parents had four. It was like, yeah, fuck them. But anyway, I think my sister's starting to learn that one because she's got the three, and then like her boy, I guess, was painting the walls with poop the other day, like a few months back, and I couldn't stop laughing personally since it's obviously not my kid. Fun times.
They are great when they're at a young age. They actually can inspire you because the way they perceive the world is very innocent. So it's like saying, rather than that's a cup, it's like saying, that's a magical chalice that unicorns can swim in. It's like they come up with these little.
And
I mean, my
and a point on that is something that is beaten out of us so
oh yeah,
fucking
yeah,
fast that it's terrible. Like, that, like, that what you just described, like that innocent, crazy ass creativity, logic leaps in children, is something that you will literally find if you watch the Get to Know Your Mod Author live stream, in
yeah.
every fucking person there. All the way down to even Robin, who's had it, like, literally probably beat the shit out of him from running the Nexus and the millions of complaints he probably gets every year. It's I don't know. It's something that society and the world in general, and that, I mean, like, you have no idea how many times I have to hear it from anybody, my in-laws, my fucking own parents. Stop acting like a child, whatever. I'm like, it's so much more fucking fun to act like a child. Fuck y'all.
Yeah.
Like, I can do so much more shit. I can make more shit happen. That's why I
I'm the
got no.
biggest. I'm the biggest daydreamer in the world. You know,
That's why you get into modding. It's like I was telling somebody. It's like
exactly.
I was actually when I was working with the guys in the warehouse. Well, what do you do? And I'm like, because I can literally think up anything I want and make it happen.
That's the attraction of it. It's that creative spark. You know, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be putting it elsewhere. Right? You know,
Yeah.
I'd be making music, or I'd be painting, or I'd do something. I need an outlet for it. And what I love about modding is it's given me the ability to hone my story writing skills and learn voice acting. I had never voice acted before I got into modding. As you know, not a lot of people know, my background is theatre, but from the technical aspect. So I watch a lot of actors. I've seen, you know, more shows than you've probably had hot dinners, I think. But so my observation of the world has been molded by theatre. So my approach to modding is very much about breaking down the fourth wall, and that's what I do with all my mods. So it's inspiring. It's inspiring, and it, I I love it. I love the creativity, and but if I wasn't doing this, I'd be putting it elsewhere. There must be some outlet for me to create. But that's one of the great things about modern.
And
You can
that's the thing that I think people don't realize. It's one of the biggest things I think people don't. All the imbeciles who say, "Well, if you want to get paid for this, you should go do something else." It's like, well, a lot of creative people need a creative medium, and it's a really easy creative medium, and it's something you can do in your downtime while you actually. Because I'm sorry, but a lot of people who do the artistic things on the side are not as lucky as some of us, and they can't do it for a living. Like mine was building houses and actually trimming them out and doing things. I could actually be creative when I was doing that, even following blueprints or predefined plans. You could still, you were creative in how you approach the problem. But a lot of people go work in cubicles and come
mm,
home, and being artistic in the way they want to be artistic doesn't pay the bills. Like, you ever heard the term starving artist? There's a reason for that. Like,
there's a
playing the
lot of
cello is.
mathematicians as well, isn't there? There's a lot of mathematicians and accountants, people who see things in a certain order, and they're brilliant at scripting. They're the people who get scripting. But one of the things I love about you, Darren, is the way that you, when it came to scripting, you think creatively. So you think outside the box. Okay, let's take your train ride for example. How can I move a train? Oh, I don't need to move the train. I'll move the land. you know, that's thinking out of the box. That's
Well,
creative thinking.
part of it too is like I'm really lucky in the upbringing I had too. Like, as much shit as I give my parents, at least they beat common sense into me. But the one thing that they never got rid of was that whole childlike bullshit. But I went to school for aerospace engineering. So I got in school, I got the shit beat into me for, like, I think as a kid I was always a psychopath. Like, like, I mean, it was always like just constant ADHD, whatever. And my parents tried to mold that, put in a work ethic. They made me work in the family business and shit. And then I went to college and they tried to even beat more into me, because honestly that was some of the most boring fucking years of college, years of my life I've ever had. Like, but it allows me to see the ordered side, like you're saying, the mathematicians, the programmers, like some of the ones we have in chat. But it also allows me to look at it like
I
I'm a
wasn't
4 year.
mentioning any names there.
It allows me to look at it like I'm a 4 year old as well, because it, sometimes all the people can see is the square pegs, square holes, round pegs, round holes. Well, sometimes you can shove the fucking round pegs through the square holes because the round pegs are smaller. But that doesn't pass through people's heads when they're trained to do it in a certain order in the structure, and being able to break the structure when I need to, it just allows for crazy psychotic logic leaps, like that. Just even I acknowledge that. How the fuck did I go from A B C X Q Z L M P, the letter 2? How did that even become a letter? I don't know. Like that. That's like, I look back at some of the shit that I brainstorm, and I don't know how the fuck I got from the starting point to the end point. And that's why I kind of save a lot of my work. That way I can go back and reference my own work to figure out how I did something years later.
It's the same with writing. You kind of start off with a very small idea,
Oh yeah.
and it
Oh
just
yeah.
keeps it builds, and you get a thin outline of the the beginning, middle, and end. But then suddenly you'll see bits going off to the side, and I think even with Marvin, like the week before the release, I came up with a little the idea of the Master Builder, which I just had to do it. I was like, I've got to do this because it needs it. So I had loads of content already in the dungeon, but I came up with this idea of this room with this lever, and basically every time you move the lever, it takes 100 gold of you. But you know, if you do it so many times, it will unlock a voice trigger, which will talk to you and say, oh, "I'm the master builder, and I'm going to reward you." La 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 la. And then when you finally get into the room, the master builder is didn't actually expect you to get in, and he basically disappears, leaving you with nothing. And but the idea, I just had to do it. It was a compulsion, really, and that's this thing. It's a compulsion, and these stories just write themselves. It's like Benjamin Dune. He just jumps off the page as a character. And he's one of my favorite characters because he just jumps off the page, and it's great to have something like that to
And
watch a story flesh itself out.
what's funny about that is I've actually got a book running around here, so I was looking for it in the live stream. I can't. I gotta go find it. I think I had it in the bathroom or something. It's literally just a whole bunch of writing by Terry Pratchett and shit. But
Mhm.
one of Terry Pratchett's quotes that I like, and I'm gonna misphrase it or miss whatever it, but he basically said that when he starts a book, he knows where it's gonna start and he knows where it's gonna end. It's everything in between that's the amazing journey, and it's really true. It's
Yeah,
same thing with Vault 273. I'm like, I know where it starts, I know where it ends. Everything in between is writing itself as we go, and it's fucking
exactly
awesome.
the same with Carry On. Hold my hands up. I'm making it up as I go along.
But
I'm
but it's
currently
it's so
work.
much
Oh,
better because it's a well you remember the diatribe you did for me, the diatribe, the speech for stories, the
yes,
one from Terry Pratt, because that's so true. It's like the stories are a parasitical life form. It's like you start writing the shit, and then if you do the characters right, they start writing the story as you go. Because like you mentioned the people who like to role play their characters.
yeah,
Well, that's something that people don't think about when you're writing something. You're not just role playing one character. You're role playing all of them.
yeah,
And it ends up writing themselves because if you have two different characters you've written coinciding, you need to think from each of their perspectives as you write each line that's a back and forth. And that actually changed a metric shit ton of my narrative in the first quest for episode 1 of Vault 273 because I changed Natasha, one of my main gunner leader, 3 times. And each time it changed the entire story and how it played out because she's such a pivotal part through the entire story that it changed the interactions because Wilson was kind of already set in stone from prelude on how he's going to act. So Wilson had to act one way, and so his interactions with Natasha changed the narrative of the story as we went through each time that I kept rewriting it till I got to the final one. And it actually makes it kind of a bitch when you're writing and do that kind of thing, but like I said, most creative people have to have self-doubt and self-loathing when they write their shit, and I still don't even like it, but I'm running with it.
but that links back to you talking about how a voice actor can influence the writing as well.
Correct, and that can
So
change it as
obviously you've
well.
gone Wilson. Paul's played him in this Benjamin Dune-esque kind of voice. He sounds quite, fatherly, a fatherly figure, even though you made me say "God damn." um, he sounds a bit more parental as a character. So his interactions would be slightly different with young ladies.
Well, I mean, even with the one, I don't know if you've read that. Yeah, I think you have. You read the Vault too. Like even with the one
Yeah.
kid who like is freaking out, and Wilson gets him back up on his feet to keep moving, and throughout the episode does the same thing. Like,
Yes, I will edit all your American swear words.
yeah, definitely. The
I'll turn them into ballyhowl, chap.
that's the one thing. The other thing, as I was mentioning, that people who think they're writing and their shit don't stink when they write is like every voice actor. I have to fight with some of them on my shit to do this because they will literally send me like 5 takes of the same exact line, and I'm like, no, make it your own. do your own shit, change it. Like, as long as the line works in context, fucking change it. Change some words here and there and make it sound more natural. It's I think the voice actors lend a whole, like, I can do 99% of the work on the mod. The voice actors can do the 1%, and that 1% can define how at least 70% of the people view your mod. That's how strong voice acting can affect it. So I think the more natural and the more honest it feels, coming from a voice actor, I think the better.
I completely agree. I think a voice actor has a lot to take on. I always think of Sir Ian McKellen.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if you've seen, oh God, what's the program? Extras. There's an episode with Sir Ian McKellen and Ricky Gervais, and he gets Ricky Gervais ends up acting in this show, and there's a point where Sir Ian McKellen is describing what acting is. I'm going to step back from the mic because he basically walks his fingers along his arm. So you'll have to envision this. So he walks his fingers along his arm, and as he does, he's going, Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen, you shall not pass! Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Ian McKellen. And that's his interpretation of acting. Now, I think that's true because when people are listening to audio only, so in the case of gaming, they can see things. The lip sync's terrible, so they really are just listening to that one line of audio. It's really important that the key pieces of information are emphasized. So, for instance, you know, this is a key to open the door. You have to, you know, the key and the door are the two key pieces of information. That's a very simple example, but basically an actor needs to be able to deliver that information in a way that's true to the character, but also relays those key pieces of information, because that line may only be said once. Do you get me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's very important that writing and voice can sort of marry each other to tell a story. And that's my approach. So people will often send me, you know, scripts, and I will Sir Ian McKellen it, basically, because that's what I believe to be the best way. And if they don't like it, well, they don't have to use it. But that particular mod author that I was referring to earlier, who made me do lots and lots of takes of the same line, he just kept on going, faster, faster, faster. He didn't like my Ian McKellen.
I think that's the only thing I'm kind of worried about at points for Wilson and 273 with you, is you do it a little bit slower at points, and I'm like, well, some of these are... Actually, I don't think I actually put Wilson in any point where he has to have hurried dialogue. I think I actually made a mental note to do that.
Just write fast in brackets.
Just write fast in brackets. Double speed, go.
I can listen to those commands if it's written in a sense that I can interpret. Big's very good at that as well. He and I have done some voice recording where he's actually been in chat with me whilst I've recorded. You know, and he was a little bit of a taskmaster. You say it again and again, a bit faster. You know, he was very much like that.
See, I'm thinking my interpretation with the character though is the way that I'm well, you know, some things that I'm not going to give away, but the I think what I want to do with him is more of a slow burn, like the through episodes 1 and 2, and then like 3 onward is where I want him to start being a little more losing it. So it's sort of that where you build the character thing, like, you know, because I got Natasha in the first one as well, and she's gonna be more of the like hurried get shit done type of a deal, whereas Wilson will be a little bit more on the laid back, like gravitas type thing. And I think building that character over a couple episodes is going to be good, so that way when his character actually gets into the crazy let's get shit done, you know, shit's hitting the fan type of a deal, like it carries more weight, if that makes sense. The same way that if Natasha, you know, being all gung-ho suddenly gets serious, you know, so if there's like a paradigm shift in how they're viewing something, people would take note, because if they wiffle waffle both ways nonstop, you don't have that punch of, oh shit, the crazy one's actually taking something serious. I should probably take something serious. Like that kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, you're right. He just messaged me. He's like, "Can we wind it up soon?" He doesn't want to keep talking to you guys. It's actually we've been going on for an hour, and we've been going on for like an hour and 30 minutes anyway. So yeah, just yeah, that's how long the recording's gone on for. It's like somebody made that point. They said somebody made that point videos ago. Like I said in the other one, like sooner or later we're gonna have 24-hour long get to know your mod authors.
So the question is, have people learnt things about me?
I don't know.
Who cares?
I think the user base are all idiots. Remember, so I don't
Well,
think they learn.
I'm not that high profile anyway, am I? I'm a nobody.
Hey, consider yourself lucky you're not getting a message every 7 minutes on Nexus asking you to make
Yeah,
this amazing mod for people.
I do get those kinds of requests sometimes, but
Oh,
I
I mean,
sometimes listen.
Ellie had to delete. Ellie had to turn hers off. I'm just such an asshole that I don't get more than like one or two a day. So that's still a lot. Like I think she was getting way more. But so yeah, if you're listening, you dumb fucks, we're not making shit for you. Piss off. The
We do it for ourselves.
I will make you a sci-fi MMO dragon mod. The I gotta find that link too. Anyway, wrapping it up. Anything you want to say at the end? Yap about for a minute or so, and then we'll kill this sucker.
No, I'm good. It's been a very good discussion, um, apart from the paedophilia aspect, which went off into a very dark territory for a moment. We don't like talking about it, do we? No, nothing more to add. I really love these shows. They're great. They're really informative. And I'm thankful that you've asked me to be part of it.
Fuck that. You've been like trying to get part of it for like 3-4 weeks, and time's never
I'm
lined
playing
up.
it, Mr. Nice here.
Oh, okay. The
Don't ruin the illusion.
I've told people I try to keep my friends on back burner till I need them because
Yeah, you don't have to release this one soon. If you
oh, I
get
have
someone
to. I
better.
have to because I'm fucked.
That's it.
I'm out of here after today, so I'm kind of screwed. I'm stuck with you. You're like sloppy seconds. The
Not the first time.
all right, I'm ending this thing.